Hey, welcome to today's video. We're taking a look at DMCA legal developments as of February 2020. News on the DMCA. I'm Eric Chapo with DMCAagentservice.com. So our first development doesn't even involve the DMCA, but it could tangentially. Europe, the EU, those crazy Europeans always passing regulations and directives. Well, they issued a new directive, I believe it was last summer, on copyright that would make some serious changes to how copyright law is handled in the EU, particularly on the online arena. And essentially, they had a safe harbor provision that was very similar to the DMCA, and a lot of it was being done away with. And sites and apps, particularly ones that had larger amounts of traffic, were going to have to essentially screen for copyrighted material. Which adds just a wee bit of expense. So there were a lot of questions about whether this was going to be a trend, whether this would spread to the United States to replace the DMCA. And the answer is, we don't know, but it's looking less likely. And the reason being, as you may have noticed, the United Kingdom performed the Brexit maneuver. And so they have left the EU, although there's still a final agreement being worked out, and it should be done by the end of the year. And so the question was presented to ministers in the UK government about whether it would be adopting the copyright directive and passing new legislation incorporating the concepts in the new EU copyright directive. And the answer was no. So if the UK is not doing it, it seems unlikely that it would spread to the US, particularly since they're both English-speaking countries, and most traffic would be coming from the UK. So that, generally speaking, is fairly good news if you like the way the DMCA is set up now. If you don't, then it's bad news. And then the second big set of news is Congress. There's grumblings and mumblings amongst Congress about the DMCA. So to understand what's happening, it's important to remember that the Digital Millennium Copyright Act was one of many laws that were enacted in 1998 when Al Gore saved the internet or developed the internet or whatever he claimed. Basically, what happened was during the Clinton administration, there were quite a few laws that were enacted that were designed to essentially protect the internet and the business environment on the internet so that the new medium could grow. Now, of course, the internet had been around before then, long before then, but as a commercial medium, it was essentially an infant. And in this infancy period, quite a few laws were passed that were designed to give companies cover so they didn't get sued into the ground and eliminated while various legal issues were worked out. So you have things like defamation, the Communications Decency Act. A website cannot be held liable for defamation based on something its user says. This is how companies like Ripoff Report and Yelp avoid, being sued into oblivion for defamation by, angry businesses. And on the copyright front, we had the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and it created the Section 512 safe harbor that said that a website or an app could not be held liable for copyright infringement based on content uploaded by its users. So if I did something in this video that constituted copyright infringement and I upload this video to YouTube, I can be held liable for copyright infringement, but YouTube cannot because it didn't do anything. I did it. And so the idea here was to create, sort of a protected harbor where companies could grow. And obviously that's happened. The internet has radically changed life over the last 20 years. And now we see these, monster sized companies, Google's famous do no evil. And yeah, they kind of dropped that slogan. So the question that has come up now in Congress is, are a lot of these laws ripe for review? Because the internet as a commercial medium is no longer in its infancy. Do sites necessarily need these protections, particularly larger sites? I mean, does, Facebook really need anonymity? Does YouTube, pick a site where that's user-generated content based, TikTok, whatever? And the answer is unclear, but Congress is looking into it. And we're seeing some action. We're seeing some momentum towards revisiting the DMCA and making changes. And how that all plays out is difficult to say. I don't think you're going to get a sweeping change like you see in Europe because the U.S., pays attention to small businesses, unlike Europe. And so I think ultimately, probably where it ends up is the DMCA either remains the same, or companies over a certain volume of traffic or a certain volume of complaints, um, will no longer have the safe harbor provision, but companies below that, whatever that measure is, will. And so the idea will be to make Google and Facebook be responsible, but if you have a blog or a small site that's a forum or something like that, and you have 20,000 hits a month, that you're not going to be forced to go through this filtering process, because filtering out copyrighted material is no easy venture. We know Google's spent something like, I don't even know what the number is these days, something like $60 billion or $60 million, $80 million trying to get a filter to work for YouTube. And it's very hit and miss. Well, Google has those resources. You and I probably don't. So, a lot of people are saying the DMCA is doomed and this, that, and the other. I don't really see it. They might technically get rid of the DMCA, but they would replace it with something that would give small businesses a break, because otherwise there are going to be a lot of politicians being voted out of office, and they don't want that. So, anyways, those are the two major DMCA legal developments for February 2020. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you have any interest in the DMCA and the legal developments in this area, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and you'll get new videos every week. And finally, if you need a DMCA agent for your website or app, feel free to contact us at dmcaagentservice.com. Thanks.